This is not a sermon, not an interpretation, not a theological debate. This is an observation that you can no longer overlook once you start truly looking. Because everywhere, people are speaking about God, about Jesus, about grace. And yet everything stays the way it is. The words are familiar, they sound right, they sound pure, they sound as if they carried weight. Love your neighbor, forgive, be merciful. But when you stop and not only listen but observe, when you not only hear but compare what is being said with what is actually happening, something else appears. A gap between claim and reality. This gap is not small, it is not subtle, it is everywhere. In conversations, in rooms filled with conviction, in moments when people are certain they are on the right side, and still nothing fundamental changes. No system, no behavior, no relationship between people. Because as soon as it becomes concrete, as soon as it is no longer about words, but about decisions, hesitation begins. Everyone talks about God, everyone talks about Jesus, everyone talks about the light, yet no one truly leaves their place. No one gives up what keeps their own life stable. And exactly there, the light comes to a halt. Meanwhile, something else is happening quietly, without attention, without recognition, not as a concept, but as an action. Not perfect, not complete, but real. While others talk about what will be right, I make decisions that no one has to see and that still have consequences. I renounce, not absolutely, not to erase myself, but consciously. I eat less, I drink less, not because I have to, but because I want to, because I have understood that renunciation is not loss, but can create space for something that does not belong to me. A field grows because someone takes less. You can see it not as an idea, not as a symbol, but as reality. The 17th of April 2026 and the 2nd of May 2026, the same field and yet not the same result. It grows, it flourishes, not through words, not through discussions, but through a decision. This is not theory, this is lived consequence. Everyone talks about God, everyone talks about Jesus, everyone talks about the light, but the light does not appear where it is merely spoken. It appears where someone is willing to keep less for themselves. And while many structure their lives, go to work, follow their interests, take breaks, occupy themselves with things that fulfill them, there is also another kind of life. A life that is not comfortable, not plannable, not controllable. I stay not sometimes, not only when it fits, but always for my wife. Mentally ill, fragile, unpredictable in her moments. A human being who does not simply function, who cannot simply give back what is invested into her. And exactly there, real love begins. There are moments that no one would choose voluntarily. She has bitten me, she has hit me, she has pulled my hair. There are situations in which every rational thought says, go, protect yourself and this, and still I stay. Everyone talks about God, everyone talks about Jesus, everyone talks about the light, but love does not reveal itself in safety. It reveals itself where someone remains, even though everything speaks against it. I forgive not once, not symbolically, but again and again. Not because I feel nothing, not because I do not know pain, but because I decide not to hold on to it. And this decision is not easy, it is not beautiful, it is not inspiring in the classic sense. It is quiet, exhausting, repetitive, and precisely because of that, it is real. Not out of weakness, but out of conviction. Not because I am stupid, not because I understand nothing, but because I believe that every human being carries the same worth. Not in theory, not depending on behavior, but fundamentally, without exception. Everyone talks about God. Everyone talks about Jesus. Everyone talks about the light. But what does it mean if it costs nothing? If it changes nothing? If it makes no difference in real life? A faith that demands nothing also demands nothing of reality, and therefore remains without consequences. A genuine faith would shift everything. It would question ownership, it would challenge comfort, it would break open structures, and precisely for that reason, it is diffused. It is reduced to words, to symbols, to identity, but not to action. Because action changes things, and change has a price. Yet the truth has long been visible, not in grand gestures, not in perfect images, but in small, consistent decisions that no one celebrates. Everyone talks about God. Everyone talks about Jesus. Everyone talks about the light, but the light is not in their words. It is in renunciation, in enduring, in staying, in forgiving. It is there where someone becomes less, so that something else can grow. It is there where someone carries what others would never carry, and exactly there it becomes quiet. Maybe God's grace is not something that you explain. Maybe it is what comes into being when someone stops talking and starts acting. When no one is watching, when no one applauds, and something still grows.